Call this meeting of the Owensboro Board of Commissioners to order and ask our city clerk to please call the roll.
Commissioner Bob Glenn.
Here.
Commissioner Debbie Nunley is unavailable. Mayor Ron Payne.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Sanford.
Here.
Commissioner Pam Smith-Wright.
Here.
Very good. Commissioner Nunley is out of town this evening, so that is why she cannot be here. With that, I'll ask our city manager to please lead us in the invocation and pledge. I would ask everyone to stand.
Thank you, Mayor. Join me in prayer or silent meditation as may be your practice. Father God, we welcome you, Lord, to this community and these chambers tonight. Lord, it's been a long, hot, dry summer. We thank you for the little rain that we had yesterday, but still, Lord, this is an agricultural farming community. Your sustenance is provided to us through your crops. We solicit, Father, more rain from you, Lord, for those crops. We pray, Father, for protection of our children as they've gone back to school. We ask your blessing upon those teachers who mold and shape those young lives. We ask your hand, Father, to protect our police and our fire, our public works employees as they work out and about in dangerous jobs. And especially, Lord, we ask your blessing upon this American democracy, from our president to the federal legislature, to the state, the governor and the legislature, and to this commission, Lord God. We pray your hand upon democracy. It's in Christ's name we pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Parrish. Commissioners, the next item on our agenda is titled the Owensboro Soapbox Derby. It's actually much more than that. Some time ago, John Austin approached me about a group of individuals that were going to Akron from our community to race in the Soapbox Derby competition. And John told me that these young people wanted to take with them our city flag. Put that up, Beth. This is a picture of those young people from Owensboro holding that flag at Akron, Ohio. And I got to tell you, this just warmed my heart. That first, they wanted the flag, and two, they displayed that flag in that community to show their pride in our city. And I've got to tell you, that just means so much to me, as I know it does to all of you, that these young people think so much of their community that they wanted to do this. Not only did they want to do this, and they're here tonight, our Kelsey is, they wanted to return the flag to me after having done this, and Kelsey's going to return it to the city, and I've got to tell you, that flag's always going to be here if they ever want it again. But also, I have another picture. This remarkable young lady, go ahead, Beth, and put that up, actually won in her division, the Riley Masters division, and it's my understanding that there were three individuals from Kentucky, Kelsey was one of them, that this is the first time that anyone from Kentucky had won one of these divisions. And I've got to tell you, I just think that is remarkable. One, for that achievement, and two, the pride demonstrated by these young people in their city. And so John wanted to give me that flag the other day. I said, no, I want him to see if Kelsey would come. I've got a presentation. I want to give her a key to the city and recognize her for her great achievement. I know she's soon to be off to Western studying nursing. Is my understanding, Kelsey? Well, you know we have a brand new hospital, so when you get your nursing degree, I surely hope that you're going to come back here and work at that hospital, that complex, because we need young people like you in this community. So with that, I'm going to go down, let her present me that flag, and I want to give her this key to the city. But before I do that, let's all stand and give this remarkable young lady a round of applause. Kelsey, after I do that, I want you to introduce your parents, grandparents, everybody here that's with you, okay? Nancy, on behalf of this city commission and all the people in the city of Owensboro, I want to give you this key to the city and ensure that you do have a key so that after you graduate from Western, you can use this key to come back here to the city of Owensboro, okay? Because we need young people like you. Congratulations. Stand up, you guys. Thank you.
This is my boyfriend and picture for anniversary. Jordan Cruz, and then this is my granddad,
Hey, granddad.
Tim Green, and this is my grandma, Addie Settles, and this is my granddad, James Settles.
Okay. Thank y'all for coming. Your sister. Hi, Melissa. Good deal. Thank y'all for coming. And, congratulations.
Mayor, thank you very much for that recognition of, as you say, an extraordinary young lady. And for the benefit of this city commission, thank you, commissioners, for allowing us a few moments. I'll try to be very brief. I would say this, that Mayor, I appreciate the attention, but I've come to you for too many things. I really don't need any more recognition. It was actually Michael Johnson, one of our newest racers and racing parents, that had requested that that the kids take that flag up. And Michael deserves a lot of credit because he's part of the overall picture. And what's on your screens is just going to be a very brief review of how we got to this point. How did we end up with not one, but 3 champions from the state of Kentucky, which had never happened in the history of the sport and had never happened for Kentucky at all. Never had there been 3 champions from one state in 77 years of soapbox derby racing. So this was quite an event up there. The Owensboro Lions Club in 2001 started the soapbox derby back up. It was in this city in the 50s and 60s, and raced out on a permanent track out in Barn Harbor Hills. In 2007, we went to the state. We'd been racing down on Bluff Avenue next to Chautauqua Park. And we were racing one time a year, averaging 35, 40 drivers. And we had a dream. We were kind of wanting a different venue, a way to be able to get out and have more races. One of the special aspects of the Owensboro Soapbox Derby is the Super Kids division. All-American in Ohio has 4 divisions: the Stock, Super Stock, Masters, and the Super Kids. And the Super Kids are for special kids like Melissa, and that's Melissa in that picture right up there. So Melissa always had a large time when she was riding down the track. Well, we had a dream. We didn't want to set that track up and take it down every year, once a year. We were talking to the state back when the state was owning the park, and we looked out at the Rudy Mines. In 2010, of course, the city acquired the park, and we got together, and we went to Ben Hawes. And basically the city told us where they wanted the track, and we said, anywhere you want it is fine with us. Broke ground in spring of 2011. If you look closely at the picture, you'll see members of the 101st Division in that picture. They came up for a special groundbreaking ceremony, and then within the next 3 weeks were deployed to Afghanistan for their duty. The site itself became a major challenge. There were a lot of trees. That was a very wet winter and spring, and we had trees and mud, and every once in a while we acquired a little patience. But it paid off in October of 2011, And the young lady in that yellow Chicks Rule car, that's what it says on the side of that car, Chicks Rule, was our own Kelsey Settles at that point. The Settles family's been a racing family for some time now, and Kelsey made that very first run down that hill. Just 2 months ago, June 13th of this year, we hosted about 48, I think it was, local drivers for the local Soapbox Derby. For All-American Soapbox Derby, you have two divisions. You have a local division and you have a rally division. Think of the rally division as like NASCAR drivers. They can earn points. These are the elite drivers from all over the country, and they travel a circuit of tracks. This was the other aspect of a permanent track that we had sought all those years ago when we were talking to you guys about having a venue in Owensboro, Kentucky. So now, instead of just one race with 35 or 40 drivers a year, we have 4 races, a local and 3 rallies. This past weekend, we held our August rally race. We hosted 49 rally race drivers from around the country. 75% of the drivers that came to our track were from other states. We had Missouri, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. I think that's 7 or 8 of them. So we had a lot of drivers, and Your Honor, as you like to say, we put heads in beds last weekend. Mm-hmm. So it was good for the city. We had folks that stayed down in the new hotels. They walked along Smothers Park. They got to see Owensboro, all because they came to this track out here. We're still growing. We're still learning. That's our brand new wall of honor out at the track. It honors the city and the county and all those that contributed to the building of this track. The Owensboro Lions Club contributed well over half of what it took to build this facility to this point. We're creating champions in character and champions in life. The young man in this particular picture is Jordan. Jordan Pruden was one of 2 recipients this year of the very first annual President's Youth Service Award for the All-American Association. And again, history and heritage. In 34, 35, 36, Jimmy Stewart, John Wayne, every major Hollywood star wanted to go to Akron to participate in the All-American Soapbox Derby. That's how rich the heritage is here. So when they develop an award called the First Ever Youth Service Award, it's quite an honor. Jordan, I was one of 6 race directors that nominated this young man from Bowling Green. So, and Jordan's been involved in Soapbox Derby racing as long as Kelsey has. That's Kelsey there with another one of our super kids, and that was just this last June. We're racing these super kids to go to Akron, and they get to go up there and experience Champs Week with all these other youngsters. Common theme, uncommon results. On the left-hand side of the photograph, you see Kelsey and both of her sisters, Lauren, who can't be with us tonight, and Melissa, who's here with us. And then you see Kelsey again going down the track. It's a family sport. As you said, Mayor, these kids were so proud of Owensboro. They threw out, every year they have a parade, and they throw out trinkets to those that come to the parade. We gave them all the bicentennial fans and coins. So Owensboro went all over Akron, Ohio, up there, thanks to these young ambassadors. And as I said, Kelsey, as proud as we are of her, we are amazed at how successful these 3 young persons were. Young man in the middle is Tyler Peterson from Bowling Green. Young man on the right-hand side is Lucas Ramey, thank you. Lucas Ramey from Hanson. And all 3 race on this track regularly and have gained the experience of the speed of this track relative to other tracks into Akron. So we're just tickled to death to be able to bring this attention to Owensboro, but also we're tickled to death for our good friend and our super young lady, the 2015 Rally Division Masters World Champion, Kelsey Settles. That's it, sir.
John, let me say this to you and all of the members of the Lions Club for the tremendous amount of work and effort you put into this. This works because of people like you. You know, the city can help and all the other people that contribute to this. But unless there are people like you that drive to make these kind of things happen, they don't happen. And I know that. I've dealt with so many people that get passionate about things, they get behind them, and they make them happen. And that's what you've done here, John. And I've got to tell you, there's nothing more important to us than in investing in our future and these young people. And I've got to tell you, we got a great bunch of young people in this community that are making us proud. And I've got to tell you, you know, we read a lot of bad stuff, you know, on TV and whatever about things going on. And it always seems like most of the time, with the exception of our own local newspaper, that you know, we never read about the good stuff. And, you know, this country is doing well. It's doing well because, John, we got people like you in this community and people like Kelsey that are making this community such a wonderful place to live. And I want to thank you and, again, congratulate you, Kelsey, and wish you all the best in your career and your endeavors to become a nurse. But stay away from NASCAR and just come on back here as a nurse, okay? Thank y'all for coming. You guys, yeah, go ahead, and if y'all would like to leave. Commissioners, the next order of business is to approve the minutes of our meetings dated August 4th and August 11th. I'll entertain a motion we approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any corrections? Part of anyone? If not, call for the vote.
Commissioner Glenn?
Yes.
Mayor Payne?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanford?
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright?
Aye.
Motion passes. Commissioners, the next items are some board appointments. First is to the Owensboro-Davis County Drug and Alcohol Addiction-Free Community Steering Committee to reappoint Ronsalind Clark as a joint city-county appointee to a 3-year term effective September 1st, 2015. To the Walk of Fame Advisory Board to reappoint Rosemary Conder to a 3-year term effective September 18th, 2015. To the Owensboro Health Board, reappoint Terry Woodward to a 3-year term effective November 1st, 2015. And then to the International Bluegrass Music Museum Board of Trustees, appoint Ron Payne, myself, to a 2-year term effective with the execution of the lease agreement between the City of Owensboro and the International Bluegrass Music Museum. Commissioners, with the last one there, shortly we're going to execute that agreement. It does allow for an appointment. I would ask that you let me serve on that board for at least a year until we get that new music center constructed, and then we will. I'll retire from that board, and we can put someone else on it. But at least until we get it constructed, I would like to serve on that board. So with that, I'll entertain a motion. We approve these appointments. Oh, I missed it.
That's on the
Oh,
bottom.
thank you.
Medical control.
To the Medical Control Authority for the Emergency Medical Services / Ambulance Board to appoint Richard Peach to fill the remainder of a term expiring May 19th, 2018. I'll now entertain a motion to approve.
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Second. Any questions, comments on the part of anyone? Call for the vote.
Mayor Payne?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanford?
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright?
Aye.
Commissioner Glenn?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Mayor, I would, as a point of order, as we are appointing you to the board, normally the practice is that you would
Oh, I'm sorry.
abstain
Thank
from
you.
that vote.
Thank you, Counselor. I will abstain on the museum board appointment. Very good. Okay. With that, motion passes. Next item, Commissioners, we have no ordinances for second reading. The next thing is ordinances for first reading. We have our annual budget amendment. We go through this every year about this time. So I will turn this, well, we first read it, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Parrish to explain it to us. Counselor?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 27-2015, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2015 and ending June 30th, 2016. and amending Ordinance 10-2015 to revise all beginning fund balances, roll over all outstanding encumbrances, capital projects, and rebudget to provide for the receipt of funds from Owensboro Riverport Authority with which the city will pay the debt service for the 2014B Series Riverport Go bonds, to transfer funds from general fund to recreational fund for Hillcrest operations, and to make personnel changes in the fire department and in central dispatch. Introduced and publicly read on first reading this 18th day of August 2015.
Thank you, Counselor. Again, Commissioners, first reading, we don't vote. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Parrish and let him run through this for us. Mr. Parrish.
Thank you, Mayor. This is our annual end-of-year budget amendment, which means many of these amendments are composed of things that will cross, business that will cross over 2 budget years, so we have to carry funds from the previous budget year forward. There are 17 elements. You may wish to turn to the ordinance first reading section of your book, and I'll go through these individually. The first one is the Debt Service Fund, 16-07. This relates to the Riverport Salve project. The Riverport had need to borrow $24 million for construction of a processing facility. They received lower interest rate by borrowing via the city because we could use general obligation bonds. Those general obligation bonds are not available to the Riverport. This budget amendment allows us to make the payment on those bonds of $739,315 from our debt service fund, but it is wholly funded by a like transfer from the Riverport. It's a pass-through for that same amount. The next budget amendment, 16-08, is the recreational fund. The original budget that we briefed in April defunded Hillcrest. That returned $126,008, the subsidy, to the general fund. Subsequently, the Commission decided to keep Hillcrest open. This budget amendment restores the $126,008 subsidy from the general fund to the rec fund to keep Hillcrest open. By way of explanation, additionally, you'll see on this budget amendment, many others, encumbrances. That's where the staff has been given authority in the 14-15 budget to purchase items or contract for items or service payable upon delivery but not yet delivered. We encumbered money in the 14-15 budget that will actually be delivered and paid in 15-16. For example, in this budget amendment, there's $7,235 reserved for encumbrances. That's agricultural supplies, golf cart leasing, and pool chemicals will actually be delivered in the new budget year. 16-09 is Your Community Vision. This budget amendment authorizes the carryover of $7,367,776 in projects or work under Your Community Vision authorized in 14-15 that won't be completed until 15-16 or even beyond. I'll highlight a few to give you a flavor of this budget amendment. If you look under the expenditure column at the bottom, you'll see the third item down, Downtown Infrastructure Phase 2. That's where Regal Corporation did work on 2nd Street between Fredeca and Walnut. There's still additional minor work to do at McConnell Plaza, on the Riverwalk extending west, the Convention Center parking lot, and there's still needed benches on the Riverwalk. There's landscaping to be done, bollard repair, and potentially the loading dock may require railing. That carries over that originally budgeted funds, which remain at $136,000, to pay for that work. The same is true of all of these. If you come down about a third of the way down, you'll see Harsh Ditch 2A non-reimbursable and Harsh Ditch 2A sewer. That's a combined $623,958 project that continues beyond 2 years to control flooding. That's the reason for the carryover. Coming down further, 2/3 of the way down, pool renovations, 455-684 carried over. That's to do the work at Combest Pool, which has been scoped, been bid, has come back, has been renegotiated, and is about to start. That carries over the funds to pay for that renovation. And finally, by way of explanation, Sherm Ditch, non-reimbursable, and Sherm Ditch Sewer combined $4.3 million. That is to do the KIA reimbursement and non-KIA reimbursement funds for that project. The general fund is 16-10. This budget amendment authorizes the carryover of $1,208,995 in the general fund for projects authorized in 14-15 but not completed until 15-16. I'll highlight just a couple of these. For example, the very top one, General Government Retirement Contingency. We purposely budgeted low in the budget, $103,000 for 15-16, knowing we would have a significant carryover that was left over from 14-15. We're carrying over $211,418. In 13 and 14, we spent $333,000 in that account, so that places it in line with previous spending. If you come halfway down, you'll see the IT Voice over Internet Protocol, VoIP project, where we're converting our phones to computer system. That had to be carried over this year also because the porting of lines by AT&T has not gone quickly enough. So that project, rather than being completed last fiscal year, will not be completed until this fiscal year. $35,327 carried over. The biggest one you'll see, 2/3 of the way down, engineering, street resurfacing, and maintenance of streets. That's a combined $471,406. Even though we have definitive fiscal years that end in June, the season for construction goes all the way into the fall. 16-11 is the Central Dispatch Fund in cooperation with the county. We pay 75%, they 25%. We manage the program. Authorized by a memorandum agreement, they can carry over their end-of-year balance for future capital costs. This budget amendment authorizes that carryover of $247,936. 16-12, the Economic Development Fund. This budget amendment authorizes the carryover of $942,115 authorized in 14-15 for the purchase of 2 parking lots, one in the downtown area, one in the vicinity of Gabe's Tower. 16-13.
Bill,
Yes,
hold
sir.
on before we get off that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to buy those parking lots. That's contingent upon the renovation of Gabe's. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And an interesting point as you think about the general fund reserve, that money still resides in City Hall. It's just not part of the general fund reserve. We've moved it to the Economic Development
Gotcha.
Fund.
Thank you.
The next one is 16-13, the Downtown Revitalization Fund. This budget amendment authorizes carryover of working capital in the Downtown Revitalization Fund of $836,270, previously authorized, not yet purchased, for a variety of elements that we're still working in downtown. 16-14 is the Capital Projects Fund. This budget amendment authorizes the carryover of $2,077,034 of previously authorized but not executed spending from 14-15 to 15-16. I'll highlight a couple of these. The Bluegrass River Park Center, we borrowed $900,000. That's been used for design and various elements of the project leading up to construction. There's still $69,483 left in that. That's being carried over for spending next year. And the ERP software project, that's where we replaced our system in finance. That is a multi-year project. We still have the payroll portion to do. There's $17,000 remaining in that, and we'll bring that forward. Next is 16-15, the GIS Fund. This budget amendment authorizes the carryover of $55,675 in GIS. Every 4 years, as you know, we take aerial photographs of the city. We save the money each year till we get to that 4th year. This is the start of that 4th year. We carry over the previous budget. 16-16 is the State Drug Fund. This budget amendment authorizes carrying over $1,547 reserved encumbered funds pending purchases in OPD from that fund. The Grant Fund, 16-17, authorizes the carryover of $260,300 in state neighborhood stabilization program funds to build 2 homes. It was a 14-15 grant. We'll execute and build those homes in 15-16. The Facilities Maintenance Fund, 16-18. This budget amendment authorizes the carryover of $21,331. The remaining costs for the 4th floor ADA bathroom that was reconstructed, we still have to pay that cost, and rebuilding, I should say repairing elements of the senior center, making the senior center a nicer place for our seniors. 16-19, the Community Development Fund authorizes the carryover of $793,303 in community development and home grants, federal grants, for building funds for Triplet Twist revitalization and the closeout of Mechanicsville and the elevator that was repaired at the Fine Art Museum through a community development grant. 16-20 is a fleet and facilities replacement plan. This budget amendment authorizes the carryover of $258,677 for a heating and air conditioning system at the Sports Center and for OPD to rebuild the Legion Park, for Parks Department to rebuild the Legion Park playground. It also authorizes encumbrance of $459,290 for vehicles that have been ordered but not yet received. Those are generally large vehicles that have to be built to specs. The transit funds, 1621. This budget amendment rolls over unspent federal and state grants of $131,268 are available for our use in the current fiscal year. The sanitation fund, 16-22, rolls over $92,283 in encumbrances for equipment ordered, not yet received. And finally, the Greenbelt Fund, 16-23, carries over $7,000 authorized in 14-15 for the Parks Department to produce new trail guides for the Greenbelt that will actually be executed, printed, and paid for in 15-16.
Very good, Mr. Parrish. Okay, very good. Commissioners, any questions of Mr. Parrish in regards to this? A lot of this is carrying over things that the city has begun but has not completed that actually run past more than one fiscal year. Commissioner Glenn, question?
A question on time frame. Bill, on 16-09, the Harsh Ditch project and the Sherm Ditch project, do we have an ETA on completion or progress on those?
Mayor, with your concurrence, I'd ask our engineer and public works director to answer that question.
Okay. City engineer.
Good evening, Commission. Both of those projects will carry through the 2016 calendar year. The Harsh one maybe get closed out late 2016, but definitely the Sherm would probably be in the calendar year 2017 getting fully closed out. So.
Very good.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Just one question for clarification.
Pro Tem.
Mr. Parrish, the elevator at the Fine Arts Museum, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that federal money that replaced that?
It is. It is federal money.
Just for clarification.
That's
Thank
correct.
you very much.
Anyone else? Anyone from the public? Okay. I think one thing that's very obvious from listening to his presentation is the complexity of the city's finances, and this is not all of it right here, but I've got to tell you, I can't say enough about our finance department, our management, as far as the job they do in managing all this money. And, you know, each year we're up here, we get these awards, and it's kind of become a routine thing. We get the budget award, we get the financial award. But I got to tell you, it means a lot because, you know, for the job that our people do, our finance department does, for us to get those awards should give this community some measure of comfort about how we manage the finances in this community. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that here as soon as we get to the financial statement. But with that, if there's no questions from the public or anyone else, then we'll move on. We have no municipal orders. Speaking of that financial report, Mr. Parrish, it looks like we're to your items.
For Ms. Hamrick, if you don't mind recognizing her, Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Hamrick.
Yes, Mayor and Commission. For the end of the year report, of course, this is pre-audit, so we may have a few more adjustments that are more GASB accrual related, but this is what we do for the traditional end of the year commission report. So with that, the financial report for the month ended June 30, 2015, I report the general fund revenues through June 30, 2015 of $43,111,754 were $1,365,795 or 3.1% under budget. This is primarily due to the occupational license and net profit fees. In our general fund expenditures of $44,896,328 were $2,977,271, or 6.2% under budget. This is primarily due to savings in salaries and benefits, and partially due to timing and maintenance in our outside and professional technical services, which led to the budget amendments to carry over. Our revenues and expenditures in your Community Vision Fund were both under budget, primarily due to timing of projects and capital outlay, and that's primarily due to the fact that a lot of that activity is reimbursable, so we'll spend the money and then get it reimbursed back from KIA. The expenditures in our Sanitation Fund, our Transit Fund, and Recreational Fund were under budget. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer.
I don't have any questions, Angela, other than the one that you and I talked about as far as the deferred revenue net profit. As you've pointed out, that this is not the final results of in regards to our financial statement, because we still have adjustments. This will still be audited. And we do have that deferred net profit, $315,000, that's on this balance sheet that we did not recognize as revenue because
we have collected it.
You've collected it, but we don't recognize it until we finalize those tax returns. So
that's correct.
There's some things here that still will affect the final results as far as the year goes. Commissioners, I've taken a look at this, and to some extent, I want to say this, that while we have that operating deficit of $1.8 million, that was not unexpected. When we went into doing all the things we've done in this city over the last 7 years, we created our own stimulus program. We have constructed a substantial amount of assets in this community. The largest one, of course, being the hospital, over $400 million. In addition to that, there's 2 new hotels, a convention center, and I'm not going to go into all of those. But those projects created a lot of occupational tax for this city. And for several years there, we had operating surpluses that were building our fund balances, that we're now drawing on those fund balances to balance the budget because those projects have been complete. But the point I want to make here, and I've did a little homework, is that we are in the process of doing things to grow this community for years and years to come. I think most everyone is aware of the TIF out on Highway 54 and the things we're doing there. We're actually looking at a TIF down here. Plus, we've got a lot of businesses that we're helping grow in this community. And what I want to do is I want to point out to you, because I asked Angela to do this for me, that for a long time we have been providing incentives for people to annex into our community, but also to expand their businesses. And that has required that we give these developers and this business community incentives to help them do those things. Those expenditures, or us giving those incentives, is an investment in the future of this community, and we have to recognize that. Everyone will see that headline and think, oh my gosh, the city's in trouble or whatever. We are not. Let me tell you, we are not. We are really moving this community forward and growing this community. And you only have to look at some of the headlines recently to know that. We got approval for the TIF. Medley Distillery's back in the distillery business. Field Packing Company is expanding. Glenmore is expanding. I'm not going to go on in all of that, but there is quite a uptick in economic development in this city. I asked Angela to pull these numbers for me, and our occupational tax grew from 2014 to 2015 by $433,000. But the all of that activity I just referred to requires us to basically refund to like U.S. Bank, Sazerac, and other developers some $310,000 that we agreed to provide those incentives to grow those businesses, grow this city. So it is an investment that we're making into the future of Owensboro and basically Davis County, this entire community, that we have agreed to provide those incentives. And just to give you an indication of the impact of our own stimulus program that went on around here for several years while this country was in a deep recession, we were basically very, very busy building a lot of things. And I went back just for a few years and looked at the building permits. And for 14, 13, and 12, those 3 years, the building permits totaled $184 million. Now, I'm sure there were some that were issued prior to those years for the construction of that hospital and some of the other things we've done. But what I wanted to do was kind of compare those previous years to where we were in 2015. 2015, for the first 5 months, we only had $12 million worth of building permits. We had $184 million prior to that. Now, our activity here is going to continue to increase. As I pointed out in a newspaper article, that shortly here we've got 3, maybe 4 major projects that are going to be going on in downtown Owensboro, and we're going to have projects going on in other parts of this community. I've just it's localized there downtown, so it's easy to talk about that. But there are other businesses, other growth opportunities. But that does not say that we are not going to be challenged. We are. And we're going to have to manage our finances. And I've got to tell you, we got the best team that you can put together to do that. Our city manager watches every dime we spend. I'm going to tell you he does. And everybody up here on this dais knows it, and so does all of those people sitting over here to my right, the city staff. And Dean Dennis out there can attest to that. But we have got to, we've got to watch our dollars. We're going to do that. But let me tell you, we're also going to grow this community. We've got to do it. We've been doing it. And let me tell you what, we've come a long way, and we're going to have a great future. And I got to tell you, with that young lady that was sitting out here and all those young people, we owe it to them. We owe it to them to do this. And I've said that many times. And the late Mike Riney knew that and made the decisions he made in order to move our community forward. So. With that, I'll cease to make my little speech, and I'll ask if any of the commissioners have anything that they would like to add or comment on. Anyone up here?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the
This is not
communications?
I don't think this is the comments.
No, okay.
Financial statement.
No. I'm good.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
With the investments that we've made, the mayor is right. We need to kind of watch our dollars at this point in time. But just yesterday, I've been approached. Of course, I know a lot of people in the sporting world, and I've been contacted I get contacted all the time. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them come through, and some of them don't. But just yesterday, a guy that has tournaments from New York to Napa, California, and I introduced him to Dean Dennis, came to Owensboro just from the investments we've made and is interested in Owensboro. And you think, why wouldn't he be in Napa? Why wouldn't he be in New York City? Why wouldn't he be in Cleveland? Well, he came down here and he saw what we had, and he was just couldn't believe it. He hadn't seen it anywhere else so that he travels. And then he actually went to our sports center and said, "Oh, this is the perfect size." So, there's things like that goes on. That will it come through? I hope so, because it's really a kind of a big deal what this guy does. And it's those type things and the investments that bring in more and more money. We're talking about thousands of people over a weekend. So that's just part of it. That it creates one thing, and then they come to town, they tell other people, and it just starts a synergy of people coming into this community saying, "Hey, Owensboro's got something to offer." When you start mixing your name with New York and Napa and the Detroit, and he was naming all these other cities, it's pretty impressive. That's it.
Anyone else? Anyone else from the public? With that, I'll entertain a motion. We receive and file the report.
So moved.
Second.
Second, call for the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanford.
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright.
Aye.
Commissioner Glenn.
Yes.
Mayor Payne.
Yes, motion passes. Mr. Parrish, next item.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm asking the Commission to consider tonight the following personnel appointments. Katrina Rothmeyer, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment, bus driver, effective August 24th. Earl Williams, probationary full-time, non-civil service promotional appointment, road worker, effective August 24th. Joshua Quisnell, regular full-time, non-civil service appointment, driver, effective August 20th. Jason Pickrell, regular full-time, non-civil service appointment, fire captain, effective August 24th. And Christopher Staples, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment, telecommunicator, effective September 7th.
Thank you, Mr. Parrish. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Any comments, questions by anyone? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Smithroyd?
Aye.
Commissioner Glenn?
Yes.
Mayor Payne?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanford?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Anything else, Mr. Parrish?
Nothing further. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. With that, we'll open it up to communications from elected officials. I'll start here on my right. Commissioner Pam Smithroyd.
Mayor, I just wanted to thank Owensboro High School, Brusher University, Kentucky Wesleyan, and Independence Bank for displaying our Pay It Forward campaign on their marquees, and also to let the city know that on September the 11th we will be having our 13th annual Freedom Walk that starts from the Sports Center, and we walk down to the Shelton Memorial in honor of those people who lost their lives on September the 11th in 2001, and also to honor our first responders, our police officers, and our firemen. So if you're not busy that day, we line up at 10:30 at the Sports Center, and the march begins at 11. We'd like to have as many people as possible to participate. Thank you.
Very good. Mayor Pro Tem?
Just two things requested by the public that I mentioned. Let me make sure I've got this right. The dog show, Dean, would that be this weekend?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I was asked to mention that today, and that starts on
Thursday. They start moving in actually Wednesday night, Thursday.
Okay.
Dean, you need to come up to that podium so people at home can hear your
They just
response.
asked me to mention it and
Yes, sir, Mayor. Dean Dennis with the Owensboro Convention Center. And, yeah, we have the dog show, 700 dogs, multiple states. It's going to be a really big show this year, and it starts on Thursday and runs through Monday.
And I understand that's a 5-year commitment. Is that true? Or?
They're in their second year, and
Okay.
we hope for a longer extension.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing someone wanted me to mention was they've noticed people mowing their grass and all the clippings going out into the street, and I know that affects our drainage. Could you talk about that, Mr. Parrish?
Yes, Commissioner. It is not permissible to blow those clippings out in the street. That's a violation. Generally, we don't chase down folks who, when they cut the grass, it kind of blows out in the street. But obviously, those that it's a large amount, maybe haven't cut their grass in a couple of weeks, we would ask them to clean that up. It is a violation of our ordinance because it does prohibit drainage.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else? Commissioner Glenn?
I just have one very brief item, and that is basically that as a member of the Lions Club, the Owensboro Lions Club, I do want to commend the city's great work in working and partnering with the Soapbox Derby Racetrack, and also to focus, I think, more importantly on anything else, that we talked last week about school being in session. And I think driving around town, everybody's done a wonderful job of trying to keep aware of children and buses and all of that. And I continue as we transition into full gear with all the school systems open that people continue to do that, because this is our future, and we don't want an accident to end a life or cause a terrible accident. And I commend our police department doing a great job in enforcing laws too. So.
All right. With that, we'll open it up to anyone in the public that has anything they want to say. Yes, sir.
My name is Rick Fowler. I live at 222 East 21st Street in the city of Owensboro, Kentucky. And I'm the chair of the local Sierra Club. And I just wanted to say that I agree with everything you said, Mayor. We need to invest in the future and the children. We have to think about what kind of world we're going to leave them. But I'm still a little bit puzzled why nothing's being done about the Elmer Smith plant. It's 51 years old now. Things are starting to fall apart. I know it's a big expense. I heard all the figures. I didn't understand everything, but I do know it's a lot of money. But I think, we've got to start looking at this, and it's going to happen National Aeronautics and Space Administration is not a bunch of stupid people, and they say that we're going to have to do something about it. And no matter who gets elected president, it's going to happen. It's coming down, and you need to do something about it. I think you need to be prepared. I'm puzzled why there's no program now to put any solar anywhere in any of these city buildings. That's what I came to you 3 years ago, and I'm sure you probably forgot about it by now, but I told you that I would be back. Why are we not putting solar energy on some of our city buildings? It seems to me that that's a no-brainer. With all the money that he was talking about, that seems to be a very small amount. At least seems like a small step forward. Indianapolis is doing it. Crawfordsville, Indiana is doing it. Huntingburg, Indiana is doing it. Tell City is doing it. There's a lot of cities around the United States that are doing it, but we're not doing anything. I'm proud of Owensboro. I like Owensboro a lot. I'm glad I moved here. But this is something that you, I think, need to start looking into a little bit more seriously. Thank you.
Rick, thank you. And let me say this to you, that, over the last few years, we've had to deal with a lot of things, and we've had to replace a lot of things. And there's some tough, serious issues facing OMU. And we've got a good board there. They know what they are, and they're working on them. So I'm not a civil engineer, or a solar expert or an electrical expert or anything. I've got to rely on OMU to provide that leadership for us. But they have some tough decisions to make here real soon, and hopefully that would be one of the things they look at. I know they're going to be looking at a gas-powered as opposed to a coal-fired plant, all of these things. So, these are the challenges that are going to be confronting that board, and we've got some good leadership there.
Mayor, I still would like to ask you to please consider putting some solar energy panels on the top of this building, if nothing else.
We'll consider it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. We can get that microphone to you if you can't get up there. Okay.
First of all, with all due respect, Mayor and Commissioners,
Ma'am, I need for you to tell us your name and your address for the record.
Jennifer Matthews, 1651 West 4th Street, apartment 423, temporarily, with apartment 425 being unlivable still at this point. When I first came here and brought my issue to you, I had hopes that I would come and things would get better and I wouldn't have to keep coming back. And it's with deep sadness that I have to come back and tell you that things have gotten worse instead of better. I'm really rather speechless. I made some notes. I don't even know where to begin. But things are not going the way they should. There's a tremendous amount of stress. I mean,
Give him the notes. Give him the notes. Let him read them.
I've been offered another apartment there in the building. I have opted to take that apartment, but there are some things that need to be done to the apartment, and I was harassed by management as a result of that apartment. They came unannounced into the apartment that I've been living in with my neighbor, and told me that they were going to rent that apartment to someone else, and I couldn't have it, when Pearlie Pike with Diversified Management had promised me that I could. I've been promised copies of the test results and a letter from Mr. Douglas, who is the head maintenance man. I've not received that. I'm left in the dark. We both are. We have no clue. The closest thing that we know right now is that the disaster team is coming in Monday. I don't know.
Let me say this to you. Time's up. But, you know, we've reached a point up here, there's not much more that this city commission can do. There are other agencies and organizations that if you have problems or complaints that you can petition those organizations. There's the federal government that deals with this. You know, I'm going to ask you, Steve Lynn, our assistant city attorney, can give you those numbers, addresses of the people that are charged with addressing your concerns. It is not for something for the city commission. We have basically looked into this. Our city manager made his report. I do have confidence in the people that are managing that facility that they're going to take care of those issues, and they're working to do that. I will ask Bill to touch base with them and find out the progress that they have made. They can report back to us. But for the most part, I think you're going to have to go to these other organizations that are set up to deal with this. And Steve, if you would, after this meeting, you can provide her that information in regards to where she can file complaints.
I'd be glad to, Mayor.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But there is nothing more this commission's going to be able to do. Wait just a minute, Commissioner. You've got a comment, young man? Sir?
Yes, sir. Yes. Last time I was here, I'm William Ray Harrison. I talked to the police. They said that about this parking garage and stuff. And I said, what about getting people involved in it?
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm not sure I follow you. Is this another issue?
Yeah, on the security of their parking lot?
Parking garage.
Yeah, parking garage.
Parking garage or the lot out there? I'm not sure what you're referring to.
The one they selling paper and it's cars and people and everything.
The downtown parking garage?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'd be willing to volunteer for that. I've done it in Louisville. I lived up there. Over in Shawnee Park for West End Appreciation.
I think they've got that well underhand. I thank you for willing to volunteer, but I think our police department, our staff have got that taken care of.
Okay.
Very good. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Let these folks get their spaces. Terry Greer, 5058 Back Square Drive, apartment 215, Owensboro, Kentucky. I was down at the river at the convention center when the pier opened July 3rd. Newspaper said 10 days, 2 weeks, we would have full ADA accessibility. It is still not there. And I want to know from the mayor or whoever is in charge of that project why this project went ahead without being in full ADA compliance. I think that's a violation of the ADA policies. There were multiple people down there the other day in wheelchairs. There are other people with other inability to climb the stairs, for want of me not being able to pull a better word. And so you are not giving all your citizens full access to what's been built. And I want to know why, and I want to know when it's going to be fixed.
Thank you. Where's Dean? Right here. Dean, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I'll comment on a couple things here. Dean Dennis. First, the convention center is fully ADA accessible. So from the front entry, we have ADA accessibility, and to the convention center and to where the event was, You would have to go to the front in order to access it. The pier itself is also ADA compliant. So
Ma'am,
you,
no, ma'am.
you,
Don't-
you, you
don't- let
can,
him finish.
you can, but you have to come through the front door, the front ADA accessible entrance to the convention center, which is how you get into the convention center. The back entrance, which is the ramp that you and I spoke with in regards to last Friday night, that ramp is not completed yet, has not been open to the public because it still lacks railing. But the event itself was fully ADA compliant.
Dean, let me ask you, when
Yes, sir.
when will those railings be?
I'd have to ask Kevin to answer that because he's in charge of the actual ramp itself.
Kevin, just for
Thank you, Commissioner. Kevin Collian, City Engineer. I'd like to touch base with the contractor on that and give you a more accurate update, but I will tell you that they are continuing to work on the railing. You know, we've met with them a couple times this week. They've been out there and continuing to finish that up. So, you know, we are committed to get that done. It just takes time to construct all those items. It's rather complicated. On that railing is a lot of field work, and it's just a slow process. But to my understanding, he has most of that fabricated, and it just needs to be sent to the to be sandblasted and painted. But
well, Kevin, I noticed that at one time they were up, and it looked like all they had to, all that needed to be done was painted, and then all of a sudden they disappeared, and so I guess if they sent them off to be.
Well, yes, what was going on there is the contractor was just tacking the pieces together. Like say it's an element that had to be field fabricated, so he fabricated that in the field, tacked it together, then removed it, took it back to the shop to finish welding, and then it will be sent to the to be sandblasted and painted. So,
Do you would you anticipate that those would be in place by the time we have that air show? I would ask that you try to make a real effort to see that, even if there's something temporary that could be done.
Okay.
There's 40,000 people or more that are going to be down there.
Yeah, we'll definitely make an effort to do that, and I'll talk to them tomorrow and see if that's doable. But certainly we are committed to get the ramp done, and I think that's evident with the concrete work already being completed, and the ramp was a separate project from the pier, but it will happen. It's just take the time to do it. So.
Well, I'll tell you what that elderly lady told me out at Park Regency. She said, "Mr. Payne, I don't want to hear about your long-range plans. I only want to hear about your short-range plans." She was 90-plus years old.
Sure.
I guess that, you know, I'm confident it'll get done, but I think do everything you can to expedite that.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Very good. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Glenn?
Yes.
Mayor Payne?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sanford?
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.